Good morning, participants here at Tokyo, and good evening to the participants at the US. Thank you very much for joining the 23rd Special Online Culture, Science, Technology International Salon, co-organized by the Japan International Science and Technology Exchange Center, JISTEC, who is celebrating its 30th anniversary this year. The Japan Science and Technology Agency, JST, and the Science and Technology Diplomatic Circle in Tokyo. I am Kobayashi Osamu from JST, a moderator of this webinar today. The theme of today's webinar is discussion on science and technology policy and collaboration in and between Japan and the United States. The COVID-19 pandemic has dramatically affected our lives. There has been almost no physical connection among people from different countries for a year since it spread. How should we continue our collaboration between us under this situation? What are the priorities, both in terms of STI and policy? Today, we have two sessions. In the first session, Dr. Moon Chan, the Science and Technology Advisor to the Secretary of Department of State, and Dr. Matsumoto Yoichiro, Science and Technology Advisor to the Minister for Foreign Affairs of Japan, will deliver their perspectives on the aforesaid topics. In the second session, we dig down into the topics together with both the Science and Technology Advisors. Originally, we plan to welcome Dr. Hamaguchi Michinari, the President of JST, as a facilitator of the second session. However, unfortunately, he could not make it due to the unforeseen circumstances. So I will do the role in his stead. Thank you very much for your kind understanding about this. So first of all, I'd like to invite Dr. Aizawa Masuo, the President of JISTEC, for the opening remarks on behalf of our organizers. Dr. Aizawa, the floor is yours.
Good morning and good evening. Welcome to CST International Salon, hosted by Japan International Science and Technology Exchange Center, JISTEC. On behalf of JISTEC, I'm pleased to give opening remarks to worldwide participants from Japan, the United States, and many other countries. JISTEC is a unique organization that was founded in 1990 for contributing to international cooperation in any aspect of science and technology. On occasion of the 30th anniversary of JISTEC, today's online meeting is organized as a special session of CST International Salon, in which CST stands for Culture, Science and Technology. I'm so grateful to Science and Technology Diplomatic Circle, S&TDC in Tokyo, and Japan Science and Technology Agency, JST, for co-sponsorship to make it happen. With commemorating the 30th anniversary of JISTEC, Special CST International Salon is entitled Discussion, Science and Technology, Policy and Collaboration in and between Japan and the United States. I'm extremely delighted and honored to invite two distinguished plenary speakers, Dr. Moon Chan, Science and Technology Advisor to the Secretary of the United States of America, and Dr. Matsumoto Yoichiro, Science and Technology Advisor to the Minister of Foreign Affairs in Japan. So, but I just mentioned it is a big surprise that the two advisors have got together in the same meeting. So today's online meeting is a little bit different from type of lecture Instead, the discussion is exaggerated between the plenary speakers. That's why I really appreciated that Dr. Hamaguchi Michinari, president of JST, could facilitate and vitalize discussion in a way to attract the participants who have a variety of interests. But unfortunately, he cannot make it, and moderator Kobayashi will take it over. The world faces a COVID-19 pandemic and suffered from tremendous totals of death and infections. Furthermore, our social and economic activities have totally been blocked throughout the world. Particularly, international mobilities of people are seriously restricted in ways to prevent traveling across borders. Despite the tragedy, science and technology, including medicine, could have contributing to solve the challenges. We learned how critically important the roles of science and technology is in attacking the unknown. Moreover, we recognize that international cooperation is inevitable to address the global challenges. It must be a good opportunity to think over the roles of science and technology, as well as international cooperation, while we are confronted with the global challenges. I do hope that today's discussion will help us to be encouraged and inspired to move ahead. Last but not least, I take the opportunity to acknowledge dedicated assistance by Mrs. Melinda Pavek, Mrs. Kelsey Du Vinalds, and Ms. Kanamori at the Embassy of the United States of America, Dr. Moon Chan's team at the Department of State in the United States of America, and Dr. Matsumoto's team at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Japan. Without these assistance, today's event cannot be realized. So let me finish opening remarks and look forward having an inspired discussion today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Aizawa. So now let's move on to the first session. We will have special speeches from the science and technology advisors from both our countries. From the US, we have Dr. Moon Chan, the science and technology advisor to the Secretary of Department of State. So Dr. Chan is on an IPA detail at the US Department of State from Purdue University, where he is a John A. Edwardson Dean of the College of Engineering. Under his leadership, Purdue Engineering became the largest top 10 engineering college in the United States. Prior to July 2017, he was the Arthur Legrand Doty Professor of Electrical Engineering at the Princeton University. His research on communication networks received the 2013 Alan T. Waterman Award, the highest honor in the US to scientists, engineers, and social scientists under the age of 40. So, Dr. Chan, the floor is yours.
Good morning, Japan. Can you hear us? I hope that you can hear me well. Yes?
Yeah, I can hear you, yes.
Wonderful, thank you. Again, good morning, Japan, and good evening to those who may be joining from the United States or elsewhere. I am so honored to be part of this 23rd Culture, Science, and Technology International Salon with my counterpart, Professor Masumoto Yoichiro. Let me first thank Dr. Aizawa and the Japan International Science and Technology Exchange Center for hosting this event, and congratulate you on the 30th anniversary of your important work. And thank you to Mr. Kobayashi Osamu for acting as moderator and for stepping in to facilitate our conversation later today. Also want to thank U.S. Embassy Tokyo for your assistance in this event, especially Director Melinda Pavic for her hard work and dedication to science technology S&T cooperation between the United States and Japan. So my name is Meng Chen. I am currently serving as the Science and Technology Advisor to the United States Secretary of State, Pompeo. And coming from academia, I intimately understand the importance of science and technology in contributing to global society. However, an important question to ask is, why is S&T important to the United States Department of State or Japan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs? Well, we're increasingly living in a world defined by science and technology. How we live and study, how we work and entertain. This has become even more pronounced since the coronavirus pandemic. If we look at some of the emerging and critical technologies that are becoming increasingly familiar to us, like artificial intelligence or AI, autonomous vehicles, precision medicine, it becomes clear why S&T has an important role to play in foreign policy. And emerging technologies like these will drive substantial economic and job growth globally. They will drive new security opportunities and threats. And increasingly, conversations on technology platforms drive national and global political events. So how can we ensure that these technologies are created and deployed in ways that are beneficial to humanity? How do we ensure that these technologies are developed in ways that align with the democratic values and principles that the United States, Japan, and other countries share, such as transparency, openness, accountability, and reciprocity, while protecting human rights and abiding by the rule of law? And how can we ensure that foreign policy and S&T work together? For example, how can we use the latest science to help us determine what evidence-based actions and policy measures to take in response to the global health challenges? We are committed to promoting scientific and technological progress through international collaboration and cooperation. This is especially true with our like-minded partner, Japan, with whom we share such vibrant, extensive, and enduring collaboration. Japan itself is a remarkable S&T leader in the world. For example, Dr. Akira Yoshino winning the Nobel Prize in Chemistry last year for the development of lithium-ion batteries. And Japan is a long-standing leader in areas such as microelectronics and semiconductors, especially in chip design and fabrication tools, and has been a major manufacturing and global innovation hub. And our bilateral collaboration in S&T dates back to 1961, when a joint committee to strengthen collaboration was established. And this led to the formation of the US-Japan Cooperative Science Program and the signing of the US-Japan Science and Technology Agreement in 1988. Now, to date, joint initiatives have led to new ideas and advancements in infectious diseases, particle physics, advanced computing, fusion plasma, materials discovery, natural resources, neuroscience, space, cancer biology, and natural disaster resilience. On October 29th, the US State Department and Japan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs hosted a virtual event where the Moonshot Go project directors talked directly with US government counterparts. Based on the conversations in that meeting, I believe that the United States and Japan have substantial room for international cooperation in line with Moonshot goals, including topics such as physics and computing, and principles such as diversity and integrity. So if you would allow me, I will go into these 4 topics a little bit now. Now, first is International Linear Collider. Last February, Deputy Secretary of State Steve Biegun sent a letter to Foreign Minister Motegi expressing our support for the International Linear Collider, or ILC. This mega science facility has the potential to make Japan a global center for particle physics research. I expect the next generation of accelerators, like ILC, will continue to enable technologies like superconductors and quantum material. Such advancements may also bring economic benefits. We also know that major physics projects can provide a training ground for the next generation of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, or STEM professionals. The United States supports the development of the ILC and stands with our partners in Japan and Europe to bring this facility one step closer to realization. Another topic is advanced computing. For example, working with Japan in quantum is natural because of the strength of our partnership. In December last year, our 2 nations signed the Tokyo Statement on Quantum Cooperation, calling for quantum cooperation grounded in our shared values for economic, societal, and security benefits. The private sector must also invest in quantum technologies, beginning from the nascent stages of development. These investments help generate new economic opportunities. And AI is another natural area for collaboration. Japan is a global leader in using AI and robotics to solve social problems and achieve economic growth. The American AI Initiative emphasizes several key areas, such as investing in AI R&D, enhancing access to data and computational resources, removing barriers to AI innovation, training an AI-ready workforce, and promoting an international environment supportive of AI innovation. We want to collaborate with other democratic nations to send a clear message about our shared values and support for trustworthy AI through dialogue, research, and innovation that upholds privacy, civil liberties, and human rights. The United States strongly believes that the best way to push back against authoritarian and malicious use of AI is to ensure democratic nations remain global hubs for AI innovation and promote AI development and adoption in accordance with our values. As highlighted during the recent Moonshot R&D discussion, supporting cutting-edge AI advances is a priority for both countries, and we look forward to strengthening our collaborations with you. The OECD AI Policy Observatory is a great example of how we are already working together. With Japan chairing the OECD Committee on Digital Economy Policy and the United States chairing the OECD Network of Experts on AI, we are well poised to strengthen these multilateral efforts. We value the AI coordination we have already had with Japan and look forward to engaging even more fruitfully moving forward. Now, I would like to turn to 2 particular principles of our cooperation. One is what we call STEM diversity. The United States consider S&T foundational to the promotion of economic growth and to the preservation of national security. We, like Japan and other countries, want to recruit the best minds to come to our country. We want to have access to brilliant scientists and top-notch facilities outside of our borders. Like so many throughout American history, I myself came to the United States as an immigrant when I was a teenager. I went to study at Stanford, then taught at Princeton, and landed at Purdue University, where I am currently on leave as the Dean of the College of Engineering. It is critical to the United States and Japan that we continue to inspire students to study STEM fields, to become future leaders of technologies that don't yet exist. And we want all the students. We want diversity of background and a diversity of different ideas. Great minds think differently. The Women in STEM Leadership Trilateral Summit that the United States hosted with Japan and the Republic of Korea in October explored many innovative ways to break down barriers and expand STEM opportunities for women, for example. One particular area we can focus is strengthening our student ties and ensuring a strong pipeline of opportunity for American students to study in Japan and Japanese students to study in the United States. The other principle I hope to highlight is research, security, and integrity. And there is one fundamental thing that underlines everything I've spoken about so far: our shared values and principles. We all know in science, as well as in interactions between people and nations, certain values and principles are considered fundamental for cooperation. The United States and Japan share values for the conduct of science that include freedom of inquiry, merit-based competition, openness and transparency, accountability, reciprocity, protection of intellectual property, safe and inclusive research environments, rigor, integrity in research, and research security. We should cooperate at all levels, from scientists to research institution administrators, from government policy makers to business leaders, to ensure our innovative systems align with these values, enhance our common security, advance our economic prosperity, and reflect the democratic foundation of our countries. As Secretary of State Pompeo noted in his remarks recently for the Prague 5G Security Conference, technology must advance freedom. I see so many opportunities and so much potential in the innovation that coming out of our two countries. I have no doubt that the United States and Japan will further our shared cooperation on science and technology to benefit both of our countries and the world. I'm very much looking forward to a robust exchange of ideas during our conversation today. Thank you again so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chan, for your thought-provoking opinions, views. Okay, video. Sorry. Okay, so next I'd like to invite Dr. Matsumoto, the Science and Technology Advisor to the Minister for Foreign Affairs of Japan. Dr. Matsumoto served as Executive Vice President of the University of Tokyo from 2009 to 2015, Executive Director of RIKEN to 2018, and has been the President of Tokyo University of Science since 2018. On April 1st this year, Dr. Matsumoto assumed the post of the Science and Technology Advisor to the Minister for Foreign Affairs of Japan. So, Dr. Matsumoto, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much for your kind introduction. And I also thank Dr. Chan for the stimulating your good talk. And I'm Matsumoto Yoichiro. It is my great pleasure to have this opportunity to talk to you with Dr. Chan today. First, I'd like to express my appreciation to JISTEC, S&TDC Tokyo, and JST for organizing this event. Today, I will talk about Japan's science and technology diplomacy and the bilateral cooperation between Japan and the US. Let me introduce myself. I have a background of engineering, especially in mechanical engineering. After obtaining PhD, I was working at the University of Tokyo for years. Currently, I am serving as president of Tokyo University of Science and as science and technology advisor to the Minister for Foreign Affairs of Japan. Science and technology advisory system at the Foreign Ministry was established in 2015, 5 years ago, reflecting upon the rapid development of science and technology in the world and the increasing importance of science technology diplomacy. The first advisor was Dr. Kishi. He is my good friend, and I was appointed as his successor last April the 1st. Under the COVID-19 pandemic, I can't go abroad on business trip, but it's good to have this kind of opportunity. I hope I can visit the US in the near future. Science advice plays a significant part in science diplomacy, especially during the time of the COVID-19 pandemic. I've been involved in discussions among the science advisors in the international network, such as FAMSTAN and INSA. Scientific advice in the case of COVID-19 is a big challenge. As a result, we have successes and failures. As we discuss in FAMSTAN, what is important for us is learning from failure and using these lessons for the next advice for success. Now, I will move on to Japan's science technology policy and the shared value between Japan and the US. As mentioned in this slide, Japan's science technology policy and priorities and described in these main plans and programs. And I believe science, technology, and innovation for SDGs is a key for our future. In order to between science and technology cooperation between US and Japan, it is necessary to be based on the shared value like academic freedom and democracy. Moreover, for promoting research collaboration, it is essential for both sides to ensure equivalent research quality as well as growth at the same pace in R&D. Thus, it is important to keep strengthening Japan's science technology capabilities. As I mentioned before, research is to help achieve the SDGs are becoming increasingly important. Using satellite observation data, formerly we called remote sensing, for the disaster prevention and protections of the environment is a good example of such researches. Observation are extremely useful for understanding environmental problems, climate change, and large-scale natural disasters. The image on the right is GS map provided the world rainfall data in real time. This map is also a good outcome of international cooperation involving the US and Japan. Next slide. And JAXA is monitoring the forestation as well. The upper map is JAXA Forest Area Warning System in the topics. The image on the bottom left are the drought status map of Australia in 2019. And these are the example of the analysis of the disaster mechanism. The huge forest fire in Australia was an international concern. This is another research project for SDGs. SATREPS is Japan's research program for solving global issues and realizing sustainable development through collaboration with developing countries. These purple flower named striga parasitize grassy crops. Sudan is suffering from the enormous damage by striga. This project aims at preventing the spread of striga and securing food production. Next, I'd like to turn to the bilateral cooperation. Based on Science and Technology Cooperation Agreement, both countries regularly have joint committee meetings. In the past committee meeting, both countries exchanged view on science technology policies and the latest research trends. One of the latest collaboration is COVID-19 related research. JISTEC decided to fund 5 programs in collaboration with NSF. As Dr. Chan mentioned, it is essential to ensure research integrity and transparency due to the rapid development of emerging technologies in the world. Regarding transparency, I believe securing transparency in R&D is important to develop science technology appropriately. In my opinion, a scientist and the research institute should mutually ensure transparency in their collaboration. Last, I'd like to give my opinion about STEM diversity and human resources. Currently, STEM education is needed to evolve into STEAM education. By learning liberal arts, scientists can identify problems in society and create science and technology expertise to solve those problems. From the viewpoint of human resources, active international exchange of scientists and students are essential. Especially improving the cross-appointment or joint appointment system is necessary to facilitate the active exchanges. I sincerely hope our collaboration will develop further. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Matsumoto. So now let's move on to the second session, exchange of views about the topics. So, well, in this session, we have about 35 minutes for discussion. Yes, in their speeches in the former session, Dr. Chan and Dr. Matsumoto gave us very interesting viewpoints on the STI collaboration between us. So, first question from me. So I'd like to ask to Dr. Chan, which I guess everybody participating in this webinar might be interested in. Yes, it was really a fierce contest, the presidential election of the US. So frankly speaking, what will be the impact of the outcome of this election on science and technology policies and the trends of the US? So very much appreciated if you could share your opinions about that. Dr. Chan?
Thank you, Kobayashi. Indeed, we are witnessing the democratic process here in the United States unfolding, and it is a bipartisan support of the shared science and technology principles and bipartisan understanding, appreciating the importance of science and technology within the United States and through global corporations with countries such as Japan. The principles of transparency and openness, the principles of cooperation based on reciprocity, and the principles of merit-based competition are truly bipartisan that will continue to withstand the test of time. And we are very confident and optimistic that the United States will continue to invest in science and technology and continue to strengthen the cooperation in S&T with partners such as Japan.
Yeah, that's good words. Yes, that relieve me very, very much. So, okay, so we can on the same track, maybe, right?
Indeed, absolutely.
Okay, thank you very much for your opinion. Okay, so next, we should talk about maybe the COVID-19. So we should talk about how to tackle the common, clear, and present danger of us, of humankind. The COVID-19 pandemic has obviously brought great challenges to how we work and communicate. So how can we maintain the consistent and the meaningful cooperation under the new normal situation? How can we also work together to address the other global common challenges? I mean, other than COVID-19, so represented by, say, SDGs, which Dr. Matsumoto mentioned in his speech. So, Dr. Chan?
Well, certainly, the COVID-19 pandemic has demonstrated once again that infectious diseases threaten local as well as regional and global economies and lives. And the United States remains committed to working closely with our partners as part of a collective global response, including a historic effort to ensure a safe and effective vaccine will be available as quickly as possible. And I recently just got back from Greece this week, where we saw how transparency in governance, coupled with advances in digital tools, can really help in situations like this. And of course, there are many other places around the world that have unleashed the potential of digital technologies as part of the solutions. We saw that in Greece this week. We have seen that in Taiwan. And I know that in Japan, as in the United States, we are leveraging as much as possible these new tools. So it is our belief that with collaboration between countries such as Japan and the United States, our scientists, our engineers can work together and advance the solutions together for our countries and the world.
Okay, so thank you very much for your comments, Dr. Chan. So do you have any comment, Dr. Matsumoto?
Oh, yeah. And as you know, at this moment, we are gathering lots of the observation of COVID-19 pandemic and making a big data now. And we can use so-called AI to analyze what's really happening in the world and in Japan, in the US. Maybe we can use those kind of data, big data, to tackle those COVID-19 pandemic and how to gather in maybe in somewhere to discuss about what will be the next step for the COVID-19 or post pandemic or next pandemic and so on. And maybe we, under the collaboration between all over the world, will help us to overcome COVID-19, such a pandemic. And as you know, important things is collaboration and exchange, human exchange in all over the world, especially in the US and Japan. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Matsumoto. So, okay, as I mentioned in this question, so the COVID-19 is not the only problem, the challenge for us at this moment. Of course, the other, global common challenges are still ongoing. So, as Dr. Matsumoto mentioned in his speech, so how should we, work together to address those kind of other, issues other than the COVID-19? So, what is the key? So, Dr. Matsumoto.
Okay, and at this moment, we are trying to make a kind of, what should I say, open science platform or open collaboration platform led by the JISTEC. And in that platform, I am a PD program director, and I'm thinking how to get together in one platform and under the one roof, and the collaboration with internationally with many countries. That means academic people and can work together with industrial people and governmental people and also the national laboratories. I was working at the University of Tokyo very long time, and then I moved to RIKEN, it's a national institute, and now I moved to a private university. But I found those collaboration between many organizations is most important things. How make the such a collaborating platform. And maybe we should encourage our people to go abroad and to make a channel or network with other peoples. And that kind, the power of network will help our real problems to tackle SDGs and so on.
Thank you. So any comment or any add comment from the Dr. Chan?
Well, thank you. As Dr. Matsumoto pointed out with great insight, it is about the human talent pipeline. It is about these human bridges of trust in the exchange of scientists, engineers, and technologies between our two countries. And also the collaboration within each country and across the ocean between private sector companies and academia or government research lab is also very important. They serve different roles in the overall food chain, if you will, of advancing science and technology it is beneficial for them to interact with each other and learn from each other. So we are hoping that we will get to see, whether online or in person at some point, hopefully very soon, the human talent exchanges to intensify even further between Japan and the United States.
Yeah, indeed. Yes, not only between Japan and the United States, but also the countries who has the same value. Yeah.
Indeed, like-minded nations.
Yeah, that's right.
Mr. Kobayashi.
Sure. Okay, so now I'd like to ask the next question about STEM. So Dr. Chan used a wonderful phrase, the great minds think differently. Yeah, usually great minds think alike, but you use the word differently. And recently, we have seen much more diversity in STEM. So what are the key diversity challenges that still remain for us to tackle? And what can we do to improve? So Dr. Matsumoto, you already suggested a very important insight in your speech about that, the A. Yes, STEM
Okay.
plus A. So could you say something about that, Dr. Matsumoto?
Okay. And I'm working at the STEM area, but we suffered many accidents and so on. And we recognized we should learn some LC issues. Otherwise, the engineers cannot work well. And so that is my intention to add liberal art, because our society is becoming very complicated, and not one shot will reflect other things. And sometimes it makes kind of chaos. And we should know those things very well. Otherwise, we cannot work anymore. That is the meaning of we should add liberal art or humanities. So liberal art consists of humanity itself. And that is a way of life we should do, and those things. And also, I'd like to add some STEM things, the mathematics. In Japan, mathematics meaning sometimes pure mathematics. But in your country, in the US, we have a very strong applied mathematics community. Even in engineers, they're actively working in the applied mathematics. My good friend in the US is working in applied mathematics very well in mechanical engineering field, mechanical engineering person. And recently in one university, they decided to move on pure mathematics to applied mathematics, maybe 10 years ago at the Kyushu University. And one guy thought mathematics should work for industry or for society. And he asked to the students to go to the industry to collaborate with engineers as a mathematician. And they make a very good fruit. And even engineers appreciate so much to such kind of collaboration. And so that the institute, the name of the institute is Math for Industry. And now we should remind the meaning of M, and science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And the mathematics will become more important, increasingly important. We try to enhance the mathematical collaboration or collaboration in mathematics in the US, you are much progress than us. And it's my thinking. And okay, and also the data science and will be much more important. As you mentioned, AI and data science becoming much more wide field for collaboration. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Matsumoto. So any comment from Dr. Chan?
Thank you. Dr. Matsumoto said it very well. And indeed, there is the important diversity of ideas and also diversity of human backgrounds. In terms of diversity of ideas, that really is the catalyst for advancement and progress. The A for arts in STEAM is an example of that. A psychology working with computer scientists and engineers, for example. And also the physical side, working with the virtual side of science and technology, where the atoms meet the bytes. This is one of, for example, the ideas that back at Purdue University College of Engineering, colleagues have been advocating and moving forward with is the interface between the virtual world and the physical world. And whenever you have interactions of diverse ideas, there's always very new and interesting things coming up. We also value diversity of backgrounds. We believe that we should unleash the full potential of every individual human being, whatever his or her background might be. And part of the educational system, from kindergarten all the way to higher learning, should indeed provide opportunities for everyone to fulfill his or her different potential. So diversity of ideas together with diversity of backgrounds really form an important cornerstone for science and technology advances.
Yeah, indeed, yes. So actually, I have the very interesting question live from our audience. So let me introduce one of them. I mean, this is a very important thing, yes, because most of you already mentioned about the importance of the exchange of the people, especially the younger people. So this is the question. So due to the COVID-19 and the travel regulations, universities canceled study abroad programs and the international exchange programs around the world. How could national and federal government agencies support the next generation of scientists and engineers to acquire study abroad and international research experiences without international travels or international conferences? Yeah, very interesting question. Yes, so yes.
Yeah, okay, the way we're doing now online, we can try these things in education, on education. At this moment, Japanese university is almost closed, and every lectures are doing online. And of course, we can do it, but we're in the US and or other universities like that. But now we are studying what's happening, really what's happening in education or education technology or education engineering and so on. And so maybe we can make a new type of education online, using online, and maybe we can get together in one place. But we can combine two methods, online education and what should I say, conventional education in some special university and so on. But we can recommend our student to go abroad virtually to take online courses. So maybe MOOCs or EdTech is already starting, and so that but at this moment for Japanese we have a very big language barrier, and it's not so easy overcome uh, to fluently use English. But so maybe nowadays AI can support them to take English course in Japanese. And NICT is developed very, very good software to translate by AI translations and so on. So maybe we can have many future directions to overcome such kind of infectious diseases and so on. Okay.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, so without any physical, interaction, so how the student or early career researchers can develop their experience in the international scene. So Dr. Chan?
Well, two thoughts here. First of all, indeed,
Yeah.
when there is a will, there is a way, and modern technologies come to rescue, to some degree at least, such as the conversation we're having right now, which, by the way, actually makes certain interactions easier and more spontaneous. We don't have to buy a flight ticket and do not have to schedule long hours. I've flown to Tokyo before. It was not a very short flight from the United States. Now we can just quickly dial things up. Now, it is not a perfect substitute, and we remain very optimistic that this pandemic will pass. But in the meantime, technologies do come to help. And AI-enabled instantaneous translation, for example, could also help tear down some of the language barriers of cooperation. The second thought is that the human talent pipeline has many different lanes. Some of that could be professors working with each other on joint projects. It could be undergraduate students in Japan coming to the US to study in graduate school, or the other way around. But it could also be short-term student exchanges. And these students become the human bridges of cooperation and trust. We do hope to be able to expand this particular lane of human interactions online for the moment, but hopefully very soon back to in-person, back and forth, bi-directionally between Japan and the United States.
Yeah, I also hope that very soon. I hope to visit you in the near future.
We will be very excited and privileged to host you. And just let us know. We also hope that myself and the team here will be able to visit Japan, visit your university. And we believe that the face-to-face interaction has some particular values that are unique. But in the meantime, certainly interactions in this fashion has proven to be quite effective, and we want to continue as much as we can.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, now I think yes, you have already had the appointment already, maybe not now, but in the near future. So,
One of the first flights, indeed.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, so that happened is through this kind of online conversation. So I think, we have to be prepared. So if we cannot fly at this moment, maybe we can connect by this kind of, online system, the technologies. Yeah, so we should prepare when it will be available. Yeah, is we can go,
Yes,
back and
of course.
forth. So without any preparation, we can make it. So the normal conversation through online is a very important thing, I think. at this moment. Yeah. So, okay, so next topic. So you both mentioned the importance of having similar ethical standards and values, which is particularly relevant to emerging potentially disruptive technologies, including quantum computing and AI. And what very much impressed me from your speech, Dr. Chan, was that phrase, against authoritarian or malicious uses of AI. In this time of the pandemic, surveillance technologies like ubiquitous sensors and powerful algorithms make it possible to monitor everyone's behavior and health condition. So we do not exactly know how the authority uses it. How can we cooperate to ensure responsible development of these technologies? Dr. Chan, any comments?
Thank you for highlighting this very important point, Mr. Kobayashi. I don't know if you or Dr. Masumoto remember this George Orwell book, 1984.
Yes.
And of course, Steve Jobs in 1984 had a TV commercial advertisement built on that theme as well. And many people have articulated their interpretations. It is important to indeed remind all of us that there is this nightmarish vision of 1984, and we do not want AI to help lock in that 1984. They should be advancing for human freedom, dignity in a democratic society. And there is much that we can learn from Japan, which has always been a global leader in areas such as AI-driven robotics. And there is a lot that can be done to share data that are privacy preserving and well protected, to share ideas and algorithms through trusted exchange of people, those human bridges of talent pipeline. There is much that can be done by looking at different application verticals, from digital agriculture to telemedicine, that can be built upon the advances of AI. So from data sets to algorithms to, of course, talents as always, and to different application domains, there is a lot that can be compared with each other and collaborated upon between countries such as Japan and the United States.
Thank you very much. Yes, that's a really important point. Yes. So.
And for medical use of those things, the important thing is how to okay. Anyhow, we cannot trace that person, but it's not so easy to do that. And we can track easily to the individual person, but we can use those data combined with DNA sequencing and so on, such as, what should I say, using big data and its individual medicine. That, for example, in Chinese medicine, very good, the best doctor can prevent the disease. And so that he can control that person by the observation and getting some daily life movement and so on, and also combining with the DNA sequence data and so on. And those directions would be very important to secure our quality of life. But of course, I don't want to go to the 1984, George Orwell write that novel. But of course, how to prevent that is not so easy.
Well,
And
some potential opportunities, I think, exist, Dr. Matsumoto, as you highlighted this important trade-off there, to, for example, assure that there is transparency of data collection and storage and usage so that end users are at least aware of this is happening to them. And secondly, principle of a minimalist. Only gather the minimum level of data needed for a certain purpose and store them only for the duration that is the minimal needed. A third, I guess, potential principle could be that of opting out, the ability for a end user, a citizen in this digital world to opt out based on the transparency in the first place and choose not to participate in as many scenarios as possible. And fourth, perhaps most importantly, recognizing that in certain cases, each individual may not be given the right to opt out, but at least with transparency and minimalism, there is also a way for each person to seek recourse, or to put it in a blunt way, to sue the companies and the government, and have an independent judiciary, a rule of law spirit, whereby there's a separation of power and an individual can actually get a chance of a fair trial on cases where she might find transparency or minimalism to be lacking. The ability of seeking that recourse and the ability of an individual to litigate against large companies and indeed even the government itself will provide at least a safety net as we navigate this difficult landscape.
Yeah, some years ago, we are dreaming the real precision medicine using DNA data, sequence data. And at this moment, at the cancer center in Japan, is trying to make a big data combined with health record. And so they are getting new, real good result from those things. Maybe it will be open to many countries and to collaborate, especially with the US.
Okay, so thank you. And yeah, time is come. Okay, the maybe last question from me. You have already mentioned about the importance of the exchange of the people. So one maybe mean question from me. So both the US and Japan already have very attractive study environments, and many young academics prefer to study at home rather than abroad. Maybe that is true. So what advice would you give them who prefer to stay at home? I mean, in Japan or in the US?
So,
well, I guess already people are staying at home a lot. And one good thing about going to some places, you never need to remind yourself to unmute yourself during a conversation. You are face to face in a physical environment, embedding yourself. And there is much unique value to be described for that. I would just add one point to this important dimension you just outlined, that is both Japan and the United States have a very good working environment and studying environment domestically. But there are also exchange student visit opportunities. So at least on a short-term basis, 3 months, 6 months, a year, they can go back and forth. And perhaps they will like what they see on a short-term visit basis and decide to pursue, for example, a master or PhD degree in the other country. So we cannot underestimate the importance of these short-term exchange programs. and jointly funded programs to enable professors to send their students abroad for a short period of time will also help facilitate such exposure.
Okay, I totally agree with the opinion. We should make such kind of joint funding system to push our people go abroad. And especially in the university, for education, we should, that program mandatory project. And if he would like to graduate the university, he should go abroad to stay a few months with some people in the universities. For example, that kind of projects are going on everywhere, but we should make it strength to do so. Okay, and for the graduation, so maybe I hope a student will go.
Yeah, very important input for the founders like JST. Maybe we have the role to encourage the people to go back and forth. And as a director of the Department of International Affairs, we are expected to do so. Yes, I do my best.
Okay.
Okay, so actually, we'd like to talk more indeed, but unfortunately, the time looks like time is up. So thank you very much for your commitment to the discussion, Dr. Chan and Dr. Matsumoto. So thank you very much.
Thank you for inviting.
So now I'd like to invite my colleague from the US Embassy in Tokyo, the Ms. Melinda Pavek, Director, Science, Innovation and Development Unit, Economic and Scientific Affairs section for the closing remarks. So Melinda, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kobayashi. So on behalf of the US Embassy Tokyo and the Science and Technology Diplomatic Circle, I'm honored to have the opportunity to say a few closing words. Today's conversation highlighted for me, for all of us, the increasingly important role that science and technology plays in foreign relations and diplomacy. As our speakers noted, and as we have seen firsthand throughout 2020, we have increased our reliance on telecommunications and other technologies as a means of protecting our health while maintaining our diplomatic, scientific, economic, educational, and social activities during the novel coronavirus pandemic. Our global science community has worked in new and innovative ways to uncover the means of saving lives and combating COVID-19. The lessons we have learned as individuals and governments can also be applied to solving the longer-term global issues we face together as residents of a shared planet. I hope today's conversation inspired us all to use our scientific skills, be they professional or amateur, experienced or aspiring, toward making a difference in our communities, our nations, and around the globe. Because the values we share as citizens of the United States, Japan, and democratic nations call on us to be leaders and partners toward a more secure, free, and prosperous global society. So finally, let me express my appreciation to the many organizations and people who made today's event a success. To my co-chairs on the Science and Technology Diplomatic Circle and my colleagues at the Embassy, thanks for your support. To Mr. Kobayashi for moderating the conversation and the Japan Science and Technology Agency who provided our physical and virtual venue, thank you. To our distinguished speakers, Professor Matsumoto and Dr. Chang, for your scientific and diplomatic leadership and for allowing us to observe and participate in your conversation. We are deeply honored and grateful. And finally, a hearty congratulations to Dr. Aizawa, Dr. Hirose, Ms. Jimpu, Ms. Sakai, and the entire JISTEC on your 30th anniversary, which was celebrated by hosting today's Culture, Science, and Technology International Salon. We appreciate your dedication to making this event a reality, as well as for all of the great work your organization supports. Thank you all for joining us today. We hope you continue to remain safe and healthy, and have a nice day.
So thank you, Melinda. So well, this is the end of today's webinar, the 23rd Special Online Culture, Science and Technology International Salon. We welcomed around 220 participants today, not only from Japan and the United States, but also other parts of this planet. So thank you very much to the speakers, Dr. Chan, Dr. Matsumoto, and the audience and the organizers for your great contributions. When you leave to the participants, the audience, when you leave this webinar, a short anonymous survey will appear on your screen. So we would very much appreciate it if you could take the time to answer it. So looking forward to seeing you next time, online, in person. So until then, goodbye. Have a nice day, have a good night, and have a nice sleep. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.